749 polling units from shrines, other inappropriate locations. Federal government raises alarm over increased road accidents, inaugurates presidential committee. On the foreign scene, World Bank rejects El Salvador request for Bitcoin help. And in sports, UEFA contacts France's Football Association after defender Benjamin Pavard knocked out. Details of these and more coming shortly. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) says it has removed 749 polling units from inappropriate facilities, with 9 of them from shrines and several others from religious houses, royal palaces and private properties. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu disclosed this in Abuja at a meeting with resident electoral commissioners. He added that from the initial 119,973 polling units, the country now has 176,846 full-fledged polling units following the 2 conversion of existing voting points to units.
The 56,872 voting points and voting point settlements were converted and added to the existing 119,974 polling units. The Commission is glad to report that 25 years since the current polling units were created in 1996, after several unsuccessful attempts, Nigeria now has 176,846 full-fledged polling units.
While reiterating on the Commission's preparation to conduct the remaining off-season end-of-tenure elections ahead of the 2023 general polls, Mohammed Yakubu implored political parties and aspirants to ensure rancor-free primaries and thereafter conduct peaceful electioneering campaigns.
The detailed timetable and schedule of activities for the 2 elections have since been uploaded on the Commission's website and social media platforms. We implore political parties and aspirants to ensure rancor-free primaries and thereafter conduct peaceful electioneering campaigns. Once again, I welcome our resident electoral commissioners to this very crucial meeting.
House of Representatives has commenced public hearings on 5 bills seeking to promote a viable and effective media sector in the country. The 2-day hearing, organized by the House Committee on Information, National Orientation, Ethics and Values, is expected to harness the views of stakeholders for the benefit of the industry. Correspondent Sandra Michaels has the story.
In a bid to rejig the media industry in line with international best standards, the House Committee on Information, National Orientation, Ethics and Values interfaced with critical stakeholders in the communications sector on 5 bills. A bill for an act to amend the National Broadcasting Act, a bill for an act to repeal the Advertising Practitioners Act, a bill to repeal the National Film and Video Censors Board, a bill for an act to amend the Nigeria Press Council Act, and a bill to establish the Nigeria Institute of Translators and Interpreters. These 5 bills also proposes the provisions of regulatory bodies to direct all its affairs. The committee, chaired by Rep. Olusegun Odebumi from Oyo State, pointed out the need to have a law that will address the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians in their respective perspectives in order to have a better nation.
There are different stages of legislative process in lawmaking. One of the most important of this is the public hearing, which involves collations of the views of members of the public for the purpose of including their views into decisions to be taken on a particular law in the making.
In his submission, the Minister for Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says some parts of the amendments will affect the financial autonomy of the NBC.
Mr. Chairman, sir, honorable members, we have a problem with this because this seems not to be in line with the thinking of the executive, that very soon the NBC will exit the number of parastatals whose salaries are paid by the federal government. In other words, very soon, NBC would need to be paying its own salaries and will have to pay for all its overheads and all its operations.
Earlier in his opening remarks, Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila urged stakeholders present to propose legislations that will protect the interests of Nigerians and the country at large.
You have a tremendous responsibility to make sure that all the legislations that emerge from this process are of the highest quality, are in the best interests of the Nigerian people, and do not impose liabilities on our people.
Supporting the 5 bills, the DGFRCN says the bill when passed will enable the facelift of the media sector.
It should go to NTA. I think this is commendable.
The stakeholders at the event, however, advocated for the independence of these regulatory bodies. From the National Assembly, Sandra Michaels reporting.
Still on the news, the Federal Court of Appeal sitting in Akure, the Ondo state capital, has struck out the petition filed by the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Eyitayo Jegede, against the victory of the All Progressives Congress APC flag bearer, Rotimi Akeredolu, in the October 10, 2020 governorship election. The lead counsel to the PDP candidate, Onyachi Ekbazu SAN, had earlier approached the appeal court claiming that the APC candidate's nomination was not constitutional. The election petition tribunal led by Justice Umar Abubakar that sat on the case had via a virtual platform ruled on April 20, 2021 that the qualification of the APC candidate and his deputy were not a pre-election matter but a constitutional matter which is not within its jurisdiction. Justice Abubakar ruled that the issue raised therein in this petition are settled issues of internal affairs and management of a political party, which this tribunal has no jurisdiction.
I give God Almighty all the glory, Lord, and honor. He's the only one that could make this possible, and I thank God for the judgment. I've said this over and over, that look, this case itself, the base is so flimsy, is for me as a person, and it's clear. But because where you believe that you can go through the back door and upturn the will of the people, it's not going to work. And it's so clear. I mean, we had an election in which the party won 15 out of the local government. You won 3. You are not contesting the result of the election, but you are hinging your petition on the chairman of the party who signed the nomination that was forwarded to INEC. That will not, it is not, I don't see any court that will allow that.
Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Ondo State says it will appeal against the appeal court judgment, dismissing the petition against the declaration of Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu as governor. This is contained in a statement signed by the State Publicity Secretary, Kennedy Perete, and made available to newsmen in Akure. The Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, has cautioned all pilots in the country over severe thunderstorms and other hazardous weather conditions which hamper flight operations, especially during the raining season. According to the agency, the warning is a follow-up to the advisory circular addressed to all pilots and airline operators and signed by the Director General of NCAA, Captain Musa Nuhu. The circular signed by the DG of the agency is coming on the advent of the seasonal climate prediction released by the Nigeria Meteorological Agency, NIMET, for the year 2021. NIMET had predicted early-late March as the commencement of the rainy season in the southern state, while late April-June 2021 is the commencement of the rainy season in the central and northern parts of Nigeria. The authority therefore enjoins all passengers to exercise patience and understanding during this period of heavy downpour and observe strict compliance. The Federal Executive Council, FEC, has raised alarm over increasing road traffic crashes on major federal highways across the country. The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, said this when he briefed State House correspondents on the outcome of the council meeting, which was presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja. He revealed that data made available by the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, on road accidents indicated that the Lagos-Ibadan, Abuja-Kano and Abuja-Kefi-Lafia expressways recorded the highest number of traffic crashes in the country. Fashola, however, stated that government had since put some measures in place, including the inauguration of a presidential committee, National Road Safety Advisory Council, to restore sanity to federal highways across the country. He said that the committee, under the aegis of the National Economic Council, would be inaugurated by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo on June 17.
We saw that for the month of January, the number of people who died from road crashes exceeded the combined numbers of people who died from malaria and COVID together for the same month. And whilst malaria and COVID were receiving national concerted attention, perhaps it was necessary to bring this to the attention of government as part of our strategy for protecting life and property.
You're still listening to the news at 1 p.m. on Splash 105.5 FM. Still ahead, World Bank rejects El Salvador request for Bitcoin help. And in sports, UEFA contacts France's Football Association after defender Benjamin Pavard knocked out. We'll take a short break now and we'll come back. We'll bring you details of these and other stories. Do stay with us.
láti ní ojúlówó ọmọ tó nílò tó fi darapọ̀ mọ́ṣẹ́ gbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ tó sì dakọ́ṣẹ́ mọṣẹ́ tí mùṣemúṣẹ́ dámúṣẹ́ yàtọ̀. Splash FM Media Academy ti pèsè ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tó gàgàǹgbá fún gbogbo ẹni tó nífẹ̀ẹ́ láti dojúlówó agbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ tàbí ẹni tó fẹ́ fìmọ̀ kúmọ̀ nídìí iṣẹ́ gbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ tẹ́sí gbàwé ẹ̀rí mọ́yege. Àwọn ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ Splash FM Media Academy dá lórí Introduction to Presentation, Program and Content Development, Journalism, Basic Production, Digital Media, Yorùbá Presentation, tó ń ti ìtọ́sọ́nà lórí ìṣẹ́yọni pẹ̀lú àwọn gbajúgbajà agbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́. Fún ìforúkọsílẹ̀ àti ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé ẹ lọ sí Splash FM Media Academy tó wà lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ White House fẹ́lẹ́lẹ̀ Ìbàdàn tàbí kẹ́ ẹ kàn sójú òpó ìtàkùn àgbáyé wa pẹ̀lú www.splashfm1055.com/academy 0705-439-3332 tàbí 0805-699-8676. ẹ sì lè kàn sórí Facebook àti Instagram wa @Splash FM Media Academy. Mú àlá rẹ ṣẹ láti dojúlówó agbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ lónìí. Splash FM Media Academy à ń fọmọlúwàbí ṣe iṣẹ́ gbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ lọ́jọ́.
Splash FM 105.5.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us here on the news at 1 p.m. on Splash 105.5 FM. Turning to the foreign scene now. The World Bank has rejected a request from El Salvador to help with the implementation of Bitcoin as legal tender. The international lender cited concerns over transparency and the environmental impact of Bitcoin mining. Earlier this month, the Central American country announced plans to become the first nation to formally adopt the digital currency. It aims to use Bitcoin as a parallel legal tender alongside the US dollar. The World Bank's decision could mean the country faces problems in hitting its deadline to ensure that Bitcoin is accepted nationwide in the next 3 months. United States Congress has overwhelmingly passed a bill to add a federal holiday to the calendar marking Juneteenth, the end of slavery in the nation. The House of Representatives backed the legislation by 415 to 14, a day after it was unanimously approved by the Senate. It is the first new federal holiday since Martin Luther King Jr. Day was established in 1983. Juneteenth marks the day on 19th of June 1865, when enslaved black people in Texas learned they had been freed. President Joe Biden's fellow Democrats sponsored the measure, and it cruised through Congress with unexpected speed in a rare show of bipartisanship. Still on the foreign scene, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has formally acknowledged that his country is facing food shortages. Addressing a meeting of senior leaders, Mr. Kim said the people's food situation is now getting tense. He said the agricultural sector had failed to meet its grains target due to typhoons last year, which caused flooding. North Korea has closed its borders to contain the spread of COVID-19. Trade with China has plummeted as a result, while North Korea relies on China for food, fertilizer, and fuel. And to the world of sports now, UEFA has contacted the French Football Federation to find out why France's Benjamin Pavard carried on playing against Germany at Euro 2020 despite losing consciousness briefly. The Bayern Munich defender, aged 25, collided with Germany's Robin Gosens in the second half of France's 1-0 win. UEFA wants to know what happened and whether protocols were followed. Global Players Union, FIPRO, said it was in touch with UEFA to find out why the concussion charter was not applied. And to tennis, former Wimbledon champions Andy Murray and Venus Williams have been given wild cards to play at this year's championships at the All England Club. Britain's Murray, aged 34, won the 2013 and 2016 men's single titles, while 40-year-old Williams has won the women's singles on 5 occasions. Katie Butler is one of the 5 British women joining Williams in the draw. Spanish teenager Carlos Alcaraz plus home trio Liam Brody, Jay Clerk and Jack Draper received men's wild cards. British players Jodie Barrage, Harriet Duff, Francesca Jones and Samantha Murray Sharon have also been given wild cards for the women's singles. And just before we go, here's a quick recap of the major headlines. INEC has removed 749 polling units from shrines and other inappropriate locations. Federal government has raised alarm over increased road accidents, inaugurates presidential committee. On a foreign scene, we told you that the World Bank has rejected El Salvador's request for Bitcoin help. And in sports, UEFA has contacted France's Football Association after defender Benjamin Pavard was knocked out. For more details on the news, you can visit our website on www.splashfm1055.com. Now you can download Splash FM mobile app on iOS, BlackBerry World and Google Play Store to listen live, get news updates and opinion poll. You can also report an event live to us through the iReport feature. To download, simply go to any of the stores mentioned and search for Splash FM 105.5 and click to download. We've now come to the end of the news on Splash 105.5 FM, the integrity station and the best radio station in the southwest of the country. The news editor is Tunde Olawuwo, assisted by Abidemi Kajokmola. I am Charity Jerome. Good afternoon and thank you for listening.